Hello, hello, Christina Giordano here. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. I am back from my hiatus, feeling refreshed. And just as a side note, my hiatus isn't necessarily like a break from my business. I'm still fully open and operating. But it is a time for me for about 4 to 6 weeks to kind of rest and reflect and restructure and re-strategize and do a lot of those words that really help me kind of enjoy the magic of the holidays, but still keep me present within my business. So one of the things that I did take a break from was this video series, my sold series on YouTube, but I am happy to be back and excited to dive into 2024. I mean, where do I even begin? Well, first, if you're a subscriber for Sold, you can find it on my website on the Get Guidance page, but Sold is essentially my brand. And it's kind of a retake of sold, S-O-L-D, and it's S-O-U-L-D. And what it means is that you are selling with soul. You are no longer just selling just to sell. You are quite literally putting your heart and soul into the thing that you're selling. And so if you are a subscriber of Sold, you get all the weekly updates from me already. And they're not necessarily about me, but they are insights from me about topics within the industry and how they relate to that definition of sold. And so my last few newsletters have been centered on the topic of integrity because honestly, collectively, personally, professionally, all the L's, um, I feel like that's where our focus has been. That's where I have been noticing, the biggest shifts within myself and within the collective is with the underpinning of integrity. And so to me, integrity with your sense of self is everything. And if you read last week's e-newsletter, well, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, you know that 2023 was one of those years that quite literally brought me to my knees. But it was so that I can have the strongest sense of self I ever thought possible. And I know that if you had a 2023 like I did, the same thing happened to you. That's kind of like the hindsight that at least I have noticed. And so, if there was one thing 2023 did, it was really putting me back in full integrity with myself. And this is really integrity is what moves us now. It's what dictates our actions. It's what fuels our internal fire. It's what propels us forward towards self-actualization. So, what does being in integrity have to do with building a soulful business? Where there's a myriad of reasons, but I'll give you three of them. So, if you're not in integrity with yourself, the forward steps that you're taking in business will likely require two steps back. And if you're a business owner, you know what I'm saying. But if you're doing something that is out of alignment or out of integrity or just doesn't feel like it's for you, but you're doing it anyway, it's most likely not going to work out. You're most likely going to have to redo something, fix something, come back to something, rethink something, and then start all over again. So, being in integrity is that's one of the reasons why it's required. Number two is if you're not in integrity with yourself, those coaches and mentors who, by the way, are also human, might project their fear based thoughts and beliefs onto you, and you might actually buy into it and set yourself back. So, without going into too much detail, this is something that I have dealt with personally with people that I have worked with is really discerning between their projection and my own internal thinking, thought process, and reality. And what I have found is that I know myself better than anybody else will know me. That is the absolute truth. And if any of those notions of lack or scarcity come up, and if it's something that I have really tackled within myself, I'll know it. It's not going to stick, and I'm not going to let it stick with the person who's projecting that onto me. So it gives you kind of this ability to discern better in what you're consuming from either social media, society, or again, a coach or a mentor. So that's the second reason. The third reason is that if you're not in integrity with yourself, you'll continue to doubt yourself and lack trust in your God given instincts, intuition, and inspiration. Now, this is important because this is, again, the biggest factor of being in integrity is moving based on your internal and innate instincts, intuition, and inspiration. That is quite literally being in full integrity when you are allowing that to guide your way. So 2023 was essentially the last year that I allowed others to make me think, believe, act, do, or be anything that wasn't aligned with my own sense of self. So I feel like 2023 was really the year of reclaiming your power. And I've said this in previous videos too. It was really the year of reclaiming your power, reclaiming your sense of self, and letting that be enough, and also letting that be your guiding light. So, how do you actually make this happen? How do you actually move with integrity? And so I just have a couple tips before I continue on with other things related to integrity. The first one is to work with those who keep you in your integrity. So, hello. This means though that you've got to have skin in the game. And this is one of the hardest things that I have seen from other business owners, is that if they're looking for someone to do it for them, if you're looking for someone to solve all your problems for you, if you're looking for overnight success, if you're looking for something that doesn't come from you don't have skin in the game. You got to have skin in the game. And if you want to make a lasting impact, if you want to create sustainable wealth, if you want to set yourself apart from the rest, you've got to select colleagues, team members, partners, mentors, coaches who know how to do this for themselves and who will never push you to go against yourself. You got to know how to discern between again an opinion of others and a reality, and that's actually number two. Know how to discern between an opinion, a viewpoint, or perspective, and a flat out projection. One of the biggest issues I see in the coaching and consulting profession today is that coaches and consultants project their fear based beliefs onto their clients like wildfire. And this in turn keeps their clients stuck and makes them feel distrustful of themselves and creates this like weird, toxic, codependent dynamic. Enough of this. When someone projects their viewpoints that are rooted in scarcity and lack as truth and fact, run. And then finally, my third tip would be to regularly cleanse and call back your power, AKA your sense of self. I do this daily. Sometimes I do it hourly, but it is a habit that I have practiced so that I can naturally and um, quickly attune myself back to myself, so that when I'm being swayed by the weather of the environment or a situation, I can call back my power and know when I'm being in integrity. And listen, greatness requires integrity. It's time to step into yours. So, something that I'm sending out this week in my newsletter is this question that I've been really leaning into lately. And it's a question that might give you pause. So, what is the level of leadership you need to step into in order to hold what you desire? Now, this is a loaded question because, I mean, at least it is for me, because based on my programming, all that would come up when asking this question was a dreadful sense of pressure. Because within my entrepreneurial lineage, pressure was just part of the job. Because within my own past stories of success, pressure played a big role. And because within my own upbringing, schooling, mentorship, employment, etc., the more pressure I had, or I'm sorry, the more responsibility I had, the more pressure I experienced. And so to me, greater leadership meant more responsibility, which to my mind, body, and soul meant more pressure. And that road is simply not going to work for me anymore. So now that I am within full integrity with myself, I understand and define leadership and responsibility a little differently. And my definition for responsibility is, if you feel so inclined to use it, is my ability to respond in integrity. That's it. That's what responsibility means to me. Now, with that in mind, with that new definition in mind, leadership gets to be easy if I focus on honoring myself, my process, my people, my passion, instead of trying to control it all and put a lot of pressure on everything. Leadership gets to be simple if I have full clarity and conviction in my innate gifts, my voice, my purpose, and not trying to put pressure on any of that. And leadership also gets to be enjoyable if I can trust in my capacity to create and stick to a structure that allows for my creativity to flow freely and not put pressure on myself to show up out of alignment and outside of my integrity. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I've made entrepreneurship over the past 10 years that I've been an entrepreneur a lot harder than it needs to be because that was the way. But now I've realized that I am the way. I am my way. And so are you. So I have something coming up that you are absolutely invited to. This is a virtual offering. It's on Monday, February 12th at 11 a.m. Central Time for my next 60-minute masterclass called the Creator Container. And it's a space where we will create the structure to support your marketing flow. So what will we do in this space together? Here's what I plan to teach and show you. You'll learn how to structure your very own weekly CEO day. So this is where you prep your marketing for the entire week ahead. I mean, how nice does that sound? Then you'll learn step-by-step and suggestions for your container, starting with a theme, a message, one piece of content, and ongoing creation from there. So we're going to be repurposing a lot, which will save you time, which will save you energy, which will save your sanity above all, so that you're not constantly reinventing the wheel for yourself. And then finally, we'll figure out systems to utilize and examples of what your marketing might look like. I'm going to show you what my process looks like, what my marketing materials look like for the entire week ahead. I'm actually going to do them prior to this within a specific time frame and show it all to you. I'll show you what I've done and you could take or not take whatever works for you. And if time permits, I will allow for some hot seat opportunities. So something to keep in mind. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because they say, and by they, I mean people that I've worked with, say that I'm the perfect mix of corporate and creative. So somebody who has come from the corporate world and now into the creative space where I do have the ideas, insight, intuitive hits to create protocols and strategy. These are things because I'm guided by being sold. These are things that actually work for you and they serve you, and it's reflective of how you want to show up in your marketing. So this offering is my opportunity to help you start 2024 with something that you could actually stick to and have fun implementing. How does that sound? That sounds great to me. So again, those days are Monday, February 12th, 11 a.m. Central Time. There's a link here in the below this video, and then also on my website, ChristinaGiordano.com. And by the way, if you're not a member of my Sold subscriber list, absolutely join. I send a Sold tip of the week every week. These go out Friday mornings. And the Sold tip of the week is quite literally something that will help you sell more with soul. And that's my bottom line here. All right, so hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Be well and take care.